Our next panel, ladies and gentlemen, celebrates homegrown global brands that prove regional creativity can conquer worldwide markets. For the same, I now request our speaker, our panelist, Mrinalini Rao, the celebrated founder of brand Mrinalini Rao, to kindly join us on stage with a huge applause. Ladies and gentlemen, she is the stellar creative force who firmly believes in creating heirlooms, not trends. With this, I now request Geetika Kanmali to kindly join us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Geetika Kanmali, the founder and creative head of Geetika Kanmali, a brilliant founder and quite a celebrated one. I now request our moderator for this beautiful session to kindly join us. Our moderator for this session is Ms. Achal Bansal, a PR and marketing consultant, community builder, and content creator with extensive experience in brand communications and strategic collaborations. Can we all put our hands together as we welcome Achal, who's also the founder of women-centric community She Aspires, focused on empowering women throughout growth, connection, and purpose. Now that we have our beautiful, gorgeous ladies on stage, so I wouldn't take much of all of your time. Over to you, ladies. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. I know this session is immediately after lunch. I'll do my best to keep this entertaining. So Hyderabad has always been a city of creators, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. And today's conversation is about what happens when local roots meet the global ambition. We have two incredible women here today who have not just built brands, shaped industries, but shown that the ideas born in Hyderabad can resonate far beyond it. Please join me in welcoming Mrinalini Rao and Geetika Kanmali. Thank you for joining us today. I guess you are the perfect fit for today's theme. So let's start by going back. I want to ask you, Mrinalini, that was there a defining moment when you realized that your passion could become a serious business?
Honestly, I'll just give you a little bit more about my life and the background for my existence in this fashion industry. I was supposed to become a doctor, but I was always a very creative child. And in my house, there was no way you could pursue anything but being an engineer or a doctor. And coming from a very humble background, who actually is not even exposed to what design world is, or like wearing designer wear, none of that ever existed in my house. Like my mother always told me that you have to present yourself well, but we did not know anything beyond that. And from there to studying fashion designing, leaving my MBBS admission. So it was absolutely only out of my love and passion for design that I graduated from NIFT. I was the best student, graduated with a gold medal. I had to prove everybody at home wrong that I can do something out of it. But the idea, the reason why I'm telling you this is that when I started off, I knew I only wanted to become a designer. And I did not want to remain a designer in Hyderabad, having a small boutique and, making good designs. I wanted to go beyond. And the reason why I was always targeting to showcase my designs outside Hyderabad before I came back to my own city. And that's how, being a designer or becoming one has always been on the cards. Like, that's how I've tuned my mind when I joined in.
That's how entrepreneurial journey actually starts, with that one belief, that self-belief, long before certainty, that self-belief that you had in you.
Totally agree.
So, coming to Geetika, when did you realize that this wasn't just a passion project anymore? It was a business you wanted to build and scale.
Okay, so my story is a lot different from hers actually. So I didn't have this doctor engineer thing at home, like my place. Like my mom and dad were not like that. So for them it was always like, you eat healthy, be happy. That's it. Do whatever you like. That sort of a thingy. So we used to live in a joint family, and I'm from Chennai actually. So most of my childhood was in Chennai. So I think around my second grade or something, my uncle gave me this very, boring job because I had a lot of time during summer holidays. So he just asked me to copy paste emails and put them in a Word document.
Okay.
So that was my entrance into the internet. And then somehow I stumbled upon dress up games. And then I was so obsessed with them that I think in my third grade that he caught me playing these games so obsessively, and he actually told me that there is this college called NIFT, and it's called, like, if you want to like pursue this seriously, you need to, go study design, and this is what a fashion designer does and everything like that. So I think from then, I just fixed in my mind that I want to be a designer. So everything I did was to be a designer. And I'm terrible at math, so when I shifted from Chennai to Hyderabad, I had to go for either MPC or BIPC. And I didn't know there were other options or anything. So because obviously I suck at math, I took BIPC, and then I did really well there. And then I used to live with my uncle and aunt, so I kind of got their hopes really high. So my aunt was kind of like pushing me to become a doctor, which is why I could not give my entrance the same year after I finished my 12th. I took a break for 1 year, and then I gave my entrance, got in. So just before getting in, I was diagnosed with like an autoimmune disease. So it was kind of new. I was trying to navigate, went to college. So second year when we started stitching and everything, so basically I lost vision in one of my eyes. So I can actually see only with one eye now. So when the stitching thing started happening, and you know how NIFT is, it's really fast paced and everything. So I used to ask for help initially from people because we had like one period, go stitch your pants and come, and then I could not do it. So I mean, after that I just decided to quit college. Like how she's the best student, I quit college in second year. And then I took 1 year break. I was just exploring everything. I was just out in the market, so I kind of learned everything by myself.
That's amazing, Ritika. Really, we are so inspired. Every founder's story is definitely different, but there's always one turning point, and we have to take a leap before we get an answer. So taking a leap is very much important. So moving forward, I want to ask you, Mrinalini, how do you balance staying rooted in Indian aesthetics while still appealing to a modern audience?
For a very long time in my career, I was just making good clothes that were appealing to my clients, like my buyers, people who invested their money. But over a period of time, everybody in the business, especially who's retail my designs, were asking me, what is your signature style? What is your signature style? Then I asked them, do I have to have a signature style? Why can't I make something new every season, right? But they said they would want to identify your brand with something that you do.
Yes.
And that's when it was COVID, I took a break, and I really wanted to come up with something very unique to me. That's when I started combining contemporary silhouettes with Indian craftsmanship. So I make jackets with a lehenga, but I bring together embroideries from across the country. Like I do applique, reverse applique, Dori from Calcutta, Kashmiri from
Of course, we know
Kashmir,
it,
and
yes.
put it together with Zardozi from Hyderabad. Like I create surfaces, layer them,
yes.
and give it to the world for a modern day girl, who's getting married, wants to buy Indian wear, to buy something a little more, edgy than the regular
You're
Indian
combining
silhouette.
both basically. You're
Yes.
not choosing between
Between
tradition
the two.
or innovation. You're trying to bring both together.
That's right. Yeah.
That's very unique, and of course we know about, and we are, all of us. I think every bride wants to get dolled up, wants to wear. And I was having a discussion with Kirti yesterday, and she was telling me, wow, Pranalini has to be in every wardrobe, her outfit, her
Thank you so
creativity.
much. That means a lot.
So, Gitika, what transforms a local brand into a globally relevant one?
Have to share our mind, I think. See, I've always felt Bharat, like as a country, we have a lot of like talent here, crafts, culture, so many kinds of weaves and everything here. In fact, we do job work for the biggest of brands, right? So I feel a problem has always been how we package and how we communicate it. You know, I think now it's getting a lot better, but that's how you go global. You don't go global by stripping off the Indianness from our Indian crafts and like weaves or whatever, you know, our culture and everything. You don't strip away the Indianness, but you just package in a way and communicate it in a way that people understand. And I'll tell you a small example. So this one is from my latest collection called Varnam. So it's basically inspired by the time I grew up in Chennai. So the nostalgia and everything. So I took inspiration from my childhood from Chennai. So I had a very different childhood because on one side, Chennai is culturally very, very, very rich. In fact, when I first came to Hyderabad, I felt it was very modern because you don't see people wearing jasmine flowers in their hairs every day here, right, in their hair every day. Or you don't see people putting bottu, or you don't see a lot of muggus here. So, and also like the number of temples and everything, it's very culturally vibrant. So in Chennai, for us, every day we would go to a temple. And as soon as you walk into the temple, like in the evenings, you see a lot of these Bharatanatyam dancers just practicing Bharatanatyam on the side. And that was like a everyday normal sighting for me there. So when I came here, I understood like how Hyderabad has different cultures. It's lovely in its own way, but you know, Chennai was super rich like that. I had a lot of that influence, and also because I grew up in a joint family, there were like younger people, as in like my uncles who were younger at that time. They used to listen to a lot of English pop, so a lot of Michael Jackson, all the other pop stars. Okay, I don't want to keep naming all. But like a lot of Jennifer Lopez and all these. So it's like, if you even see the brand ethos, it's like a proper mix of both. So on one side, you can see it's culturally very rich. Like even the way I dress up sometimes, people will be like, how can you do like a shift like this? That's because it's there in me, you know. Yeah, and with this collection, so we did a lot of storytelling which we never did before, and because I was also really passionate about this and I wanted people to understand what I was feeling, and I did not expect the response, the kind of response that we got from people, because people actually came from Chennai, a lot of places like Karnataka, Mysore, and the first thing they would say is, oh, this is inspired by temples, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
they don't know how to put it, but I'm glad that they are enjoying all the storytelling, and you know, they kind of got it.
That's what stands out because you're rooted with the Indian culture and how everyone's resonating with it.
Yeah. And it's so lovely because fashion is not just about clothes. You get to present your culture to people in a way that they understand, and you don't have to go to a museum to you know, understand a culture or like anything.
So
You
through
can
your
just wear it
creativity,
also.
you're trying to bring in, you're using your creativity for that. That's amazing. I'm sure a lot of us are inspired with this. So now, whether we are talking about fashion, entrepreneurship, or design, there's one force that's completely changed how brands are built, discovered, and remembered, and that's social media. So I want to know what's your take on that. I would like to start with Mrunal. Can I get the mic?
Could you repeat what you just said?
Yeah, so whether we're talking about fashion, entrepreneurship, or design, there's one force that's completely changed how brands are built, discovered, or recognized, remembered, and that's social media. So I want to know how social media changed the way brands are built these days.
When I studied and just graduated, I think it was just then that Instagram and Facebook were, you know, just coming out. So there was a time when none of this existed, and when I was working, I didn't know that there were shoots made only to launch collections on Instagram specifically for the world to see. There used to be shoots done by designers like Sabyasachi, Gauri, and Nainika, etc., only for
The
coffee
lookbook,
books.
yeah,
You know,
lookbooks or
coffee
coffee
table
book.
books.
Yes, yes.
They would put those in their stores for clients to see collection-wise, you know,
Yes.
summer collection, winter collection. And that was the only purpose they would do it, or, you know, they shoot it because they want to make those small catalogs during fashion weeks.
Okay.
And the entire purpose of fashion shoots and launching collections, and the amount of money being spent on the shoots is obnoxious.
Yes.
And the way we are forced to do it is also something beyond our control, I feel, because that's the only, now it's very surprising and quite alarming that that is the only way we
can
show our
reach out.
designs to people.
Yes.
It kind of worries me many
And the
times.
consumers also can access the performative branding, like from a mile away, the consumer these days.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
what do you think more than product? Are they believing in the values, the storytelling? What is the consumers believing in these days?
My idea actually was always that I want them to walk into the store, feel the product, and buy it. But because of Instagram, it's becoming more and more about how I am narrating the story and how they are perceiving it. So very slowly, from just shooting a look, the way it is like a lookbook, we are now moving towards finding the best of the locations, having a story behind it, and building a grid to narrate a story, and have a lot more meaning behind every design, and trying to make our clients connect to it.
Right.
It's a lot more of an
Yes.
effort and conversation happening without us actually speaking to each other.
Definitely, social media has made the visibility easier, but the real challenge is to build the trust, I feel.
That is
Yeah,
for true.
yeah.
That's why I try and make my gram a lot more interactive and realistic. I want them to see the actual behind the
storytelling
scenes also,
behind it,
what
yeah,
actually
that's in a
happens in the making of the product, rather than just seeing the output that is all put together very well.
Right. What's your take on that, Gitika?
See, like I said, I quit college. I didn't know anything, right? So my entire learning was from Instagram and YouTube for me.
Yeah.
So, and I started from a place where I didn't even know how to price a product. Okay, and back then we didn't have ChatGPT, and when I typed on Google, I never found the answer for it. So it was all trial and error. I used to underprice and undersell. I did a lot of that. So my entire learning is from social media, and also my first order, I'm sure, I don't know about her, but like Facebook back then, it played such a big role for me, because I just made some clothes and I put them on Facebook, and then we got an order from the US, and I was so fascinated. I was like, oh, so this is how you get orders. I came from a place like that, and with Facebook and Instagram, obviously the boundaries have been blurred. You can just reach anywhere in the world, but like she said, it's also worrisome how much we'll have to like spend on shoots and everything. It's massive.
It's a whole new game these days. Yes, whole new game,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think we just have to crack a new strategy, because there's honestly no end to it. But on the other side, there's so many positives, and I feel like for me and the brand, social media, Instagram and Facebook gave us the voice, gave us a window. So yeah, it's been
That's
such an
interesting.
important.
When I started designing, I thought I would just design. I didn't think I would have to become a social media manager. I have to become an accountant, and I had to do salaries. I had to go sit with my dyer. None of that was a part of it. My idea of designing was very different, but realistic world is a lot very different beyond. It is not fancy at all. It's not what people
Same.
think it is.
Same. So I initially thought I would just make like one design for one person. And I didn't even know that was commercially not viable, because like she said, my only interest was to just design. So I thought I'll just make one design for one person, and I'm not going to repeat it.
okay.
That was insane. And later I understood that's not the way you do it.
Oh. So moving to another important question, what role does authenticity play in a world which is driven by influencers and trends? What do you think about the authenticity part? Okay, so I'm saying that, 1 minute. Yeah. So what role does authenticity play in a world which is driven by influencers and trends?
I mean, see, one thing I feel is nowadays everybody's dressing up the same because of the influencers or what, I don't know, but I mean, you can't even blame them because they're doing their job, but you will also have to like find your own personal style. And especially for brands like ours, if you just get lost in this sea of following trends or things like that, I don't think you'll have your own voice. So you just have to find your own voice and
I
stick
was
to it.
actually a part of a podcast very recently, and I was talking to them about the same thing. I was just telling them if one celebrity is styled by a stylist in a certain way, everybody wants to just pick it up and wear it as it is. And the personal style, or all of us have a different style, right? I can't be wearing everything and anything, and that does not suit me. So the real element of personal style, which probably my mother and my grandmother had in the way they comb their hair or the way they paired their blouses with the saris, all of that has kind of gone away. And when I design also, I tell my people in the team that don't come to me with a Pinterest board because somebody has already done it, and that's how much the social media and the all of that is influencing it so much that there is an idea of how something has to be given to you already, fed into your brain. Even as soon as I open my Instagram profile, I mean, I know that my entire feed is full of something that I'm every day researching on, right? So I'm already fed with something. I said, unless you're coming with a surface from Mexico, don't come to me with a Pinterest board.
So, so all right, let's get a little controversial. I want to ask you, what's one trend you think is overrated right now?
You know what? I think up until 2 years ago, I unfollowed like a lot of designers because I didn't want to. When you just follow subconsciously, things get into your head.
Right.
So I
yes.
consciously like unfollowed everything, no Pinterest. Now I'm back on all those things because for obvious reasons. But half of the time I don't remember things. What is one trend that I don't?
Trend that is overrated these days. What's your take on that, Mrunalini?
I think like ivory lehengas, pastel lehengas. I mean, you could do it, but I'm just bored of them now.
What's your take? Even you agree with that? Trend which is overrated these days.
I'm thinking there are a bunch of them. I don't mind naming a lot. See, there are clients who wanted corsets because all the other designers are doing, and they sometimes come and force me to make corsets with their lehenga, the lehenga that I make.
Okay.
Or for that matter, I am not sure about this. Everybody walking in, all the celebrities walking in Manish Malhotra lehengas, walking the aisle, and everybody wants to just do that same color, same looks, the
Right.
same style of jewelry. I'm just like so bored of seeing that every day.
That's
That's
true.
what
I
I was
agree
telling
to
you,
that.
right? Whatever the celebrity wears, they want a repeat of, and I just want to unsee all of it,
Of course. You know it better.
Yeah, even if a lot of other designers are doing something, the clients come and force us to also make something similar.
That's the influence of social
That's the
media.
influence, yeah. So for
Yeah.
someone who had no idea about what's happening around the world to getting to see everything on your phone, I think that's a lot of overload of information.
I agree. Absolutely. I'm sure everyone's going to agree with us. So let's bring the conversation a little closer to home. Gitika, because you're from entrepreneurship. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us also welcome the visionary founder of Shravan Studio. A round of applause for Shravan Kumar, everyone. Can we all give it up for him?
Thank you for joining us, sir. So we were just going to talk about this. I'm going to start with you because you just arrived and we need more insights about your journey. So what makes Hyderabad such fertile ground for entrepreneurs, creators and innovators? As you know, Hyderabad is a city full of entrepreneurs, creators, visionary. What do you think what makes Hyderabad a fertile ground?
I think no other city in India can compete with Hyderabad for culture. The kind of culture we have, we are rooted so much, and Hyderabad was always very rich. It might be just that on the global map people started noticing Hyderabad now, but henceforth a lot earlier people knew what Hyderabad is, and they knew.
Yes.
So I think we are too so much rooted with our culture. I don't think so. No other city, and I know Delhi is known for its food, and Bombay it's known for its the way to keep in pace with peers. With Bombay is very tough, but Hyderabad is Hyderabad. Now you see a lot of attention is in Hyderabad, though it's real estate, or I think fashion, or most of the cities where I go, the first thing they ask me is, they do ask me about fashion second, but they first ask, we heard Hyderabad jewelry is on par, or yeah, that's what-
Definitely, Hyderabad has managed to retain its cultural identity while continuing to evolve. I'm saying
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you that Hyderabad has retained its cultural identity while continuing to evolve. So just want to ask, and how can Hyderabad become an even more hub for fashion, lifestyle and entrepreneurship?
You think Hyderabad is less now?
No,
I don't
not at
think
all.
so. I have a lot of people who are coming from Jaipur to shop with us. I'm sure Mrinalini and you agree. I'm sure so many more stars. A lot of Madhuris. I'm sure you girls must be knowing. A lot of Madhuris to a lot of Sonam Kapoors are looking at Hyderabad designers, what we are producing. So we are in pace with peers. It's just that the city has got the Cosmo tag than the Metro tag. That's what we lack for.
Absolutely. We already seeing that Hyderabad is getting the global attention. But the question is, how do we sustain the momentum? Mrinalini, I want your take on this, that how do we sustain this momentum?
I don't think we need to sustain anything at all. Hyderabad has become one right after Delhi and Mumbai, and I don't see any more space in Banjara Hills for any more stores to open up. See, I was just telling Kirti just a while ago that my clients from Hyderabad are going to buy shop in Delhi, and the reason why everybody else across the country wants to open their own flagship stores in the city,
Right, definitely.
It is, I don't think we are already known across the country for fashion.
I think
Absolutely.
we should actually sustain the momentum in pace with people in Paris. I saw last time when I went for holiday, most of the shoppers were Hyderabadis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they are everywhere. They are everywhere.
So we're going to be
They are
at par with
omnipresent.
Paris, Milan, Hyderabad is going to be
Yeah,
there.
the most, it's Hyderabad is with its culture, with its ease, with loads of Alanin style. We have produced a lot of designers. People out here are so well turned out. You see, even for a normal party, like last time I recently attended something what Vogue had done. I had seen a lot of people coming exactly what I think so. The editor really was happy seeing the crowd in
Absolutely.
Hyderabad.
Absolutely. What's your take on that, Gitika? Do you agree too?
Like she said, I don't think, and like he said, I don't think we have to do anything to sustain it at all, because I think we are fast growing, and also in terms of businesses, you look at Hyderabad, pharma, IT, design, there's everything. I feel like the whole business ecosystem is great here.
Absolutely.
The ease
I'm
of
sure
doing
everyone
business,
here agrees with that.
It's very easy here.
Yes.
And also, see, Hyderabad is very honest and humble selling. They are very humble sellers and honest sellers, unlike other cities which are very stiff upper lip. Customer is a king here.
Yes.
So Hyderabadis know it and they sell it so beautifully. I think any designer comes to a Gitika or a Mrinalini or a Gaurang or anybody, they go back empty-handed. They buy.
Yes.
They buy. They don't waste anybody's time here.
Absolutely. That's why it's
Yeah.
become the most, it's emerging.
true.
It's an emerging hub these
Yeah,
days.
yeah, it is an emerging hub. It is already emerged and people are ready to absorb it.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to ask you, what's one decision everyone advised you against but turned out to be one of your best decisions?
I think my foray into international business, what people think that, being an Hyderabadi or being from this city, it is much tougher for us to be there and do that than the people out there at the metros know. I think we can do it much efficiently, and I think so that's what people don't take up by or foray that particular decision.
Absolutely. What about Gitika? What about you, Gitika?
You know, I was really fond of corsets, like in the starting years when I started designing, and I think back then a lot of people were not ready to wear them. Or so the thing here is, I mean, right now it's at a great place, but earlier it used to be like if you see like a bunch of people wearing it, that's when it becomes acceptable. Right, you need to
Absolutely.
see it on 5-6 other people, and that's when it becomes acceptable. So I would say in terms of design, like when I would just like give these suggestions or like put out my thoughts, people would be like, but I don't know if that's going to sell, who's going to buy this? But I'm glad I took those steps.
What was that moment for you, Pranalini? Question. Okay, what's that one decision someone had given you, but that you shouldn't be doing that, but it turned out to be one of your best decisions? That moment for
That
you.
happens a lot with my clients, when they come down and we sit down to customize something from scratch and we build on ideas. It so many times so happen that when we all sit and brainstorm together, so many beautiful ideas come through them, their
Yes.
perspective, and I really enjoy that process. I cannot pick one, but I've had many such moments over the years. And
So-
I really like that somebody trusted me, sat down with me, and wanted to develop something from the start.
So that's the decision
So
you
very
have
well said.
made, which is defining your career.
Yeah.
Yes, very beautiful perspective. So what's the toughest no you have ever received, and what did that teach you?
Toughest what?
No. The toughest no you have ever received, and what did that teach you?
I think I see. Sorry, the journey has been so long that I have a bunch of things, not like one thing to say, but I have had so many different feedbacks over the year coming from different people that kind of made me what I am. From a designer who, one of the retailers who said, your fabric is not the best, your backings, your fall, your entire construction is not the best for us to hang on the racks, to becoming their best sellers. The journey had a lot of hundreds of no's before I heard one yes, and it has been quite a tough one, but the most enjoyable one. So I mean, there are quite a few if I have to name.
Okay, I do
Yeah.
understand. Mr. Shravan, please tell me which one was the toughest no, which has actually taught you a lesson.
I think I come across that every time when I want to experiment and go beyond my boundaries and my client says a no. Every time it's the toughest no. Because I do totally agree that they also have to leave that comfort zone and come
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
So once tried and experimented on somebody, they would say, yeah, now I want that.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Similar to what you said.
That's so beautiful. So before we wrap up, let's lighten things up a little. We are going to do a very quick rapid fire round. The only rule is don't overthink your answers. Let's see how rapid this rapid fire is really going to be. So we're going to start with Shravan. It's going to be very quick. Shravan, Gitika and Pranali.
Okay.
That's how we're
Okay.
going to do it. Okay? So one word that defines leadership.
I'm sorry?
One word that defines leadership.
Leadership is, I think so, it's a lot of hard work. Only can define leadership.
Gitika.
Responsibility and collaboration.
Consistency, showing up every day.
That was rapid. That was quick. One woman leader you admire.
A lot of them, but I think my mom, she was an amazing leader.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so sweet. Amazing. Gitika,
Mom.
mom. Woman leader you admire.
Anybody after mom, I think.
Okay, I'm going to start with you. Biggest risk you have ever taken.
Biggest risk I've ever taken. I think to start this business, the biggest, yeah.
Risk. Gitika,
Same, quitting college and just jumping into this.
Shravan.
Every day I dream about a new design. I think it's risky. And believe me, I'm like, yeah, some go up there on the trial. Some go in vain. So that's okay.
Yeah, that was the most honest
No,
answer.
it
I
is
would say,
because
yes.
it is very risky because it is very, very important that, whereas it's very tough for me because we already set it on a weaving loom and the weaver is already weaving it. So he already knows that he's getting paid for it.
Yes.
And it is done in gold, the sari is done in gold. So I am at risk. So that's okay. It doesn't matter. But there is always a buyer. There is
Absolutely.
always a buyer. If the design is defined and it has got the right construction, there is always a buyer.
Amazing. So, one piece of advice to your younger self, Gitika.
Don't overthink too much and sleep well, I think.
Amazing. Ronalini.
Every design that I make every day, the very next morning I don't like it already. So I think I should be okay with what I
That.
make.
Shravan.
Yes.
I asked one piece of advice to your younger self.
To the younger self,
Yes.
I think my piece of advices would be endless because so many mistakes I did. And I had my brothers and my family to support. I thank them. But I'm sure that the coming generation, even my son, I don't think so, I would be so easy on how much my family was. So yeah,
Beautiful.
I did a lot of mistakes, ma'am.
Hyderabad in one word.
Oh God, that's a difficult one.
You have to be rapid.
Heritage.
Heritage. Gitika. Yes.
Line. It's a beautiful mix of different cultures, which I really admire.
Shravan.
Too warm to be vintage. It's very warm.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. One trend you like to retire forever.
One trend.
Trend you feel you would like, you don't want it, like you want to retire the trend
That
it's
I don't
very
want
out.
to.
Yes.
I don't
Includes.
want to retire.
Yeah, you don't want.
Sari,
You want that trend.
sari.
Gitika. One trend you would like to retire forever.
I
Retire.
said I don't want to retire as a sari. I don't know what to retire from.
I think colors, like we're a land of like full of like different colors, like vibrant colors. I think I'm done with pastel now. Like enough.
I think one particular trend I want to retire forever is uncomfortable clothing. I would surely say no for uncomfortable clothing.
Here
I'm
speaks
so
the
much
most
in for
experienced
comfortable
person.
clothing.
Yes. Amazing. So success in one word for you.
Success is one word for me is you. I cannot spell the word success without you because the people out there give us what success is. And I'm still a learner, ma'am. I'm not very successful. I learn every day.
That's the most
So
humble
it's,
answer.
It's right.
Receive. What success to you,
Ditto.
Gitika?
Ditto.
Ditto. What about you, Mrunalini?
I think success to me is the freedom to be able to pursue what you desire every day, for your mind to be free and for you to earn that freedom to do what you feel like.
So well said. I think success is so content, Success is not doing a Paris Fashion Week or doing this week, that week. Success is very contentful. Today you are successful making a piece of garment, you are successful. So,
Absolutely. Very
it's subject.
It's subjective.
Yeah, subjective, ma'am. Success is very
Absolutely,
subjective.
very deep. So on that note, you guys have done fabulous.
I'm
This
sorry.
rapid fire round ends here. On that note, I would like to end with the final question. 10 years from now, what legacy do you hope your work leaves behind? Not just for your industry, but for the next generation.
I don't want to pressure myself too much. Like I said, I want to be able to be free and pursue whatever I desire 10 years later too.
That's powerful. What about you, Shavan?
Retire happily, but beautifully make sure that go through a brim where I surpass saying that clothes no more can cause pollution. With so much of dyeing we cause pollution, that should be eradicated. That's what I see
Wonderful,
a
wonderful
better
insight.
society in.
Wonderful. Gitika. I
That's
want to
true.
hear
That's
from you.
something we are working on also. The amount of waste that we generate, even from our office, not just the fabrics, the scraps, all the other things. That's something that's really personal to me, and I'm working towards it. So that's where I wanted to be. And like she said, I don't want to pressurize.
There is time going to come where people are going to say reuse, rewear, and reinvent.
True. And
How
in
much
fact,
will somebody buy?
And in fact, I
Yeah,
keep saying that to my clients when they come back. So some clients that I know really well, I keep asking them, why can't you like rewear or let's restyle it in a different way? So I'm very pro for it. I really like that.
Do you agree with that, Brunalini?
Absolutely. I think everybody who is a designer would agree with it.
Yes. So, what stands out from today's conversation is that successful brands aren't built by following trends. They are built through vision, consistency, and the courage to stay authentic. I would like to thank Shravan,
Thank you
Gitika,
so
and
much.
Brunalini
Thank you so much
for
for
being
having
here
us.
and sharing your journey and insights with us. And thank you to our audience for being so wonderful. Let's give our panelists a huge round of applause. Thank you so much for being a part of this.